Hey there, everybody. How's it going today? Let's see here. Hey, Josh. Good to see you, man. Glad you're in good health. Kevin's here, and Evan is here. Good to see everybody, man. What's going on? How's your weekend going? Hope everything's going good. Um, let's see. I'm still setting things up as we go. I've got some, we're just hanging out today. Want to talk, talk a little bit about this coming week. What's in store for all of us, and I have a couple questions for you about what I'm planning on working on this week. I'm good, Evan. How are you doing? How's your weekend been? So we're going to be talking a little bit about delays and reverbs and chorus too. I don't know. I'm on the fence about whether I should just stick with delays and reverbs or also add chorus in. If you're hearing anything, my dogs have decided to be difficult right now. 3 old dogs, man, and they're not doing so hot too. So Chris Ross is here, man. Good to see you. Dean's here. Hey, Dean. Evan says, cut the front lawn today. Got too hot to do that back. It's blazing today. Yeah, and this week is not going to get any better. At least around here. We have been in the low 90s. 93 is probably about the highest it's been, but the humidity's been pretty bad, so it's not comfortable to be outside. But I'm out there all the time with the dogs anyway. So, you have old dogs that have to go outside a lot. If you don't keep up on it, you're in for it. So yeah, I think that most of the country's having some pretty hot weather. Most of the country's having some other problems too. I don't know if we want to talk about all that or not today. We don't have to. We can just hang out. I'd like to talk about delays and reverbs. Evan says it could reach 100 today. Yeah, that's for us later in the week. We don't have that right now. We're not quite there yet. Let's see. I'm gonna check. I'm curious what my week. I've checked this before. Okay, we're at 94 right now, and by Wednesday it's looking like 98, 99, something like that. So we're a little bit behind you in the miserableness. So a couple things, little housekeeping for the Academy. I'm in the middle of videos. I said this to a few people, but how I'm going to be splitting the videos up. Didn't make a big deal about it because I wanted to wait till I got into a routine to see how it works. And it really has fallen into that the founding members I'm going to be working on Sundays, and then the new group will be on Saturdays. And because I really have to make a point of it now, because what's happening is Saturdays, when actually I have more time on Saturdays to work on them, I don't have many, and then my Sundays are just slam packed. So I'm gonna probably send an email out this week, trying to, and when it's a Sunday or a Saturday, I don't start working on them until about 9 o'clock in the morning. So what's nice about this is you could send it in at 9 in the morning, and I got my cue for the day. So but the videos are all looking good. It's a lot of progress going on. And what's really neat, I just did Marty's. I've been doing a few different people's, is when they're just kind of, when especially on the ones where we're doing scale patterns and stuff, and when Marty's doing the major pentatonics 204, and he just noodling around, it's like, I see progress. I'm really seeing a lot of progress. So very, very happy with those. Very happy with the videos today and yesterday too. I'll be doing them all night. I got a bunch today. So that's the Academy stuff. Next is going to be the podcast. It's going to be about, this is the third week in for the tone challenge. And really what it is just getting people to start working on their tones and start thinking about the clean, crunch, and lead. And the third week we're going to be dealing with the other things, the non-gain and non kind of special things. Reverb, which when I was starting, reverb was that knob that you want pushed up a little too high to get the boingy sound and then turned down to make it feel right. But best ways to use reverb and delay. And reverb and delay are tricky. A lot of people don't understand how to use them and what they are, And reverb's just a lot of delay. A delay, if you think about, why does that sound good to us? Why does reverb sound pleasing? Why does a delay sound pleasing to us? What does it do? What do you guys think it does? I'm curious. What do you think about what reverb does, or what does delay do to the sound? I'm curious to hear that. What does it make you? Well, I'm just going to leave it at that. I want to see what we come up with there. Kevin says, can you talk a little about the difference between a delay and an echo pedal? I stumbled across a drum echo pedal that's supposed to sound like a Benson echo rack, and it sounds much more ambient than a delay. I've always, anything in the modern guitar industry, companies play fast and loose with terms, whatever they feel like sounds good. This is this right here. What's that? The whammy bar. It's a tremolo, right? But it's not tremolo. They'll use whatever, vibrato, and they get all the mixed up. I always well here, what's going to happen when we talk about delay and echo, it's the same thing. But some, like you said, that one drum echo sounds more ambient than a delay. It's all, and I want to read these other ones and I'll get right to it. So Kevin says, when I heard it, it was like, this is the sound that I'm looking for. Right. And Evan says it makes it sound live. It gives the impression of wideness and openness. Right. So I like to flip things, right? So what does it sound like when there's no delay, when there's no echo? The word that's used for that is dry, right? They say it sounds dry. Well, what does that mean? Dry. It's not wet, right? It's putting a sound in a space. Okay? So if you're in a room and someone's right in front of you, if I'm right here in the microphone, there's no reverb, there's no delay on this microphone, hopefully, right? I'm right in your face. And you're not hearing the room at all. Okay? It's putting you right here. I'm right here when I'm talking to you like that. Whoa. Now, when I'm back here, right, especially in this apartment we're in, because this is something I deal with all the time, is we don't have all of our stuff on the wall since it's on storage. There's no carpet here. It's all tile, and it all echoes. So I'm in a space, and this is what a guitar amp sounds like. It's loud, and most people don't have their amplifier right up to their ear, right? We hear a guitar amp in a space. You know, you go into like an empty warehouse, and that's what you would call wet. It's there's so much echo. There's so much of it that you get the actual source of the sound, your voice or your guitar or whatever it is, gets lost in the echo. Now, what is it? It's the sound of your instrument, your voice, slapping against a flat surface. You know, if the walls were carpeted, which is very 70s, right? If the walls were carpeted, you wouldn't get any. The sound wouldn't bounce off of anything. But when we're in a space with hard surfaces, things bounce. That's why when people want to have that really dead type sound, they tell you, well, take your microphone, go in your closet with all your clothes around, and record in there, right? For vocals, they say to do that if you're in a home studio, because everything soaks up all that sound, right? You don't hear, and then later on you can add in artificial space, which is what reverb and delay. Now, what's the difference? Reverb generally deals with the sound of a big room, lots of it. Delay generally deals with the first thing that happens, the echo off the wall, right? So right on that wall, you get a delay. However long it took for my voice to go through this wall and back here, is the first delay, the first slap back off of the wall. In fact, they call, the early country guitar and those kind of things with a very fast attack, they call it a slap back delay, right? So you're not hearing it bouncing off a whole bunch of other walls, which gives a big reverb sound. You're just hearing one thing, bam, bam, coming right back at you, right? So then you say, well, what about delay? You know, you can have it, you can add echo, you can add repeats. That's what they call it. You can add repeats to delay. So it goes bump, 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 bump. But it's still that one thing. Reverb's messy, right? You're getting a lot of different times in a reverb. So my voice right here is hitting that wall across the room, this wall right here, right next to me, the wall over there, right? And it's also bouncing off that wall, bouncing off this wall. All of these are at different distances. And when you hear that one sound hitting all the different distances and they all come back to your ear, you can hear the way a room sounds. You hear the shape of the room. And that's what reverb is. So the delay is the first hit, or that first hit over and over and over again. And reverb is multiple hits in multiple places that give the sound of a room. And so sometimes you'll hear different styles of music use delay and reverb differently. We have a lot of David Gilmour fans in our little community here, right? A big part of David Gilmour's playing is delay and reverb. Big. Because they call him an ambient guitar player, right? He likes to sound like he's playing in a huge space. Well, how do you do that? Delay and reverb. If you listen to the ones that were really like Sheryl Crow's albums, you listen to Sheryl Crow, those, and not anything recently, but the albums that when she was very famous, when she was really had hits and stuff like that, you listen to her music, it's dry. It's right in your face. Everything, the guitar's everything, it's right there. The only thing that you're hearing is levels, which means that one guitar may be back farther than the other guitar, but it's all right there. You don't hear much of any reverb on those. The first album you did, I think that's before she started. What was it called? The Tuesday Night Music Club, I think it was, right? That album had some effects on it, but as she progressed with those next albums, not so much. Now in mixing, there is little bits of delay, but they're all made to make everything gel together, not so much as being featured, Okay, so that's kind of ground zero for delays. That's basically my first section of the podcast. I haven't written it down, but maybe I'll listen back to this and write down what I just said. I'm going to go back a while in the chat here. Let's see. This is fun. Josh says, "Yep, supposed to go swimming. It's hot here." To Evan. Yeah. I don't have a pool. Too much upkeep, I think. Yeah, I don't have a pool either. I had one, and there's a reason I don't have one now. You can talk a little bit about the difference between a delay and echo pad. Okay, talked about that. And let's see here. I skipped. Joe's here. Hi, Joe. David says, and I have not really used delay or reverb. It's dry without, Kevin says, and Evan says it just doesn't sound like you would hear it if you were there if there's no reverb. Okay. And let's see here. You don't necessarily need it on everything, but guitar and vocals sound a little more natural with reverb on them. Evan says, although sometimes really aggressive guitars might do well dry. Right. When you want, generally guitars in, like hard rock music and a lot of modern music are panned hard left and hard right. That's where the guitars live. That lives a nice place in the center for the vocals and the snare drum and the bass drum, kind of right down the middle, and your guitars are on the side. And then when you hear lead guitars, sometimes that takes the place of the vocal, right? That'll be panned in the center. But a lot of wide guitars are pulled out to the right and the left. And what they'll do is they'll maybe do a delay treatment on those, or maybe they'll offset one to make them wider. And then sometimes when you get especially on a riff, like a Soundgarden or something like that, you wouldn't really use a lot of reverb on that. You want that to be in your face, right? You don't want that to sound like it's 100 feet away in a big, huge room. You want that right here. So that's one of the things that you'd use. So how does that affect us? How does that affect someone who's just wants to play in a band, right? Well, you're at home and you've got your amp there and you're getting your sounds together, and it doesn't sound like it's out in a big concert hall, right? So what's the first thing you do? You turn up the reverb, right? Now that little box, little suitcase with a speaker in it in your room, now it sounds like it's in a cool place, right? Makes you feel good. Next, somebody calls you, say, "Hey, we're playing at this place tonight." You take that same sound and go put it in a big room. What ends up happening if you don't change it? It gets washed out, right? It's hard to hear what you're doing. You get lost because you have the reverb of the room plus the reverb of your cabinet. So I don't know what to do. I don't know what happened. It sounded great at home. It doesn't sound good here. These are things you got to deal with. Plus, the problem always of turning your amp up, and then all of a sudden now you've got way too much bass, and even some way too much mid sometimes. So these are little adjustments that you have to make when you get there. Let's see here. Evan says, "I record my vocals in the closet to minimize the room noise." Yeah, and if that's what you want, some vocals you might have a room that sounds good. Some people record their vocals in the bathroom, tile bathroom, right? But even in a room like this, if you get right up on the mic, it takes the room out. Your your initial sound is so loud and the room sound is so quiet at that point that you don't hear it anymore. So a lot of people will use those. It's like a foam shield, right? So you can use it in any room. A big problem right now that a lot of people have is computer monitors. But see, I have this here, and my monitor is right below the webcam right here. So I'm getting sound bouncing off of the computer monitor and coming back to that. That's probably the closest one. So what they'll do is they have these little like these little shields that have acoustic foam on one side, and basically it keeps the echoes from getting into your mic. Let's see here. Joe says, in my line of business, wet means hot levels. Okay, either analog, 3-tone slope, digital signal, light levels. You can only hear it on an analog signal by the way of bad echoing. Yeah. So wet. Yeah, and wet in recording, wet means saturated with delays and reverbs. That's another way of putting it. Hot level. See, and so like hot level that's what we would say is hot levels, and either analog, 3-tone slope, digital signal, and light levels. You can only hear it on an analog signal by the way of bad echoing and squealing. Okay. What line of business are you in, Joe? I'm curious. Gloria says, hi, everybody. Hi, Gloria. So happy you can hang out with us today. We're talking about reverb and delay. That's kind of what's coming up for this week. And I wish I had all my stuff because I have lots of reverbs and delays. It would be easy to demonstrate on this. I'm going to have to get creative with what I've got for the week. I'm trying to figure out what Joe's line of business is for analog, 3-tone slope, digital signal, and light levels. You can only hear it on an analog signal by the way of bad echoing and squealing. Trying to figure that out. Maybe it's been a long day. I actually did Joe's video a little while ago. It was fun. It's fun. Yeah, so the average guitar player coming into using delay and reverb, and delay is the one that just reverb makes it sound nice. Delay sounds cool. That's and there's a couple different ways that you can use delay. Delay makes it sound. People like it on lead guitar because it puts it it makes a thin sound, one note, thicker, right? But then there's like the edge, right? And like David Gilmour. I'm kind of simulating delay with my. Let me see if I've got a delay here. There we go. Was that right? Is it Survivor? Eye of the Tiger or something? Oh man, they're all coming back. So in a band setting, reverb and delay can be tough to deal with. You can get lost in the mix, which is not what you want in a band. But what I've noticed is a lot of players will have, instead of using, like Dickie Betts does this, and Robin Ford does this, they don't use reverb at all. They'll use a slapback delay, just a little bit of a delay to thicken up their sound. That way they're still not getting lost in the sound, but they still have a little bit of thickening. And then you get players like Jimmy Herring who use tons of reverb and uses that. And how do you do that? How do you get a reverb that sounds good in a huge live area? Well, the trick for that is EQing the reverb. So on a mixing kind of reverb, you can take the low end out. When things get washed out with the reverb, it's usually the bass, right? So if you hear and say like David Gilmour, for example, you hear something that's got a lot of reverb on one of his songs, 9 times out of 10, they're going to cut all the low end out of that reverb, so you can hear it. You hear the high part of it, but the low part of it doesn't, doesn't get muddy there. So a lot of people who use reverb live, they'll get rid of all of the low end on it too. So that's one way you can use it if you have to have, if you're like the Edge or someone like that who effects are a big part of your playing. That's the trick there, is not having a lot of low end. So let's see here. Oh, thank you. Let's see here. Veronica Weber's here. Hey, Veronica, how you doing? Great to have you here. And let's see here. Joe, he's a network engineer for a telephone company. Okay, now that all makes sense. Wet means hot. Okay, analog 3-tone slope, digital signal and light levels. Only hear it on the analog signal by bad echoing and squealing. Okay, all right, that makes sense now. I was racking my brain trying to figure out what kind of line of business. That's awesome. And it says I know that song. Taking out the low end prevents the muddiness, right? Right. So let's talk about the average guitar player using a delay and reverb. What do? You go out, you buy a reverb pedal. Well, now it's not so much because a lot of modeling amps have it already built in. But time was that you go out, you get a modeling pedal, and you go out and you get a pedal for delay, and maybe if your amp didn't have reverb on it already, you might get a reverb pedal, and you plug it into you plug your guitar into the pedals, and you plug them into your amp, and then the big problem happens, and that is you're running them into distortion. If your amplifier is set up to have distortion, or if maybe you have a distortion pedal that's after your reverb or delay pedal, things don't sound as crystal clear as you might like them to sound. When you have it clean and clear, it puts you in a space. It puts you in a room, right? It puts your guitar sounding somewhere. But when you take that room and distort it, it sounds like it's in a can, right? So where you put delays and reverbs is really important too. So if you put those before your overdrive pedals, they're not gonna sound. Now that may be the sound you're looking for. So I'm not gonna say like they sound crappy or anything like that. If you listen to the Edge, he does a lot of delays before distortion. And it gives a kind of a lo-fi kind of sound, which is what he's looking for. So nothing wrong with that. But what people are wanting from that is to sound like they're in a big space. You want those to be run clean. So how you would do that is if your amp has distortion in the amp, so you would have to run those pedals from something called an effects loop. And basically, that is 2 1/4-inch jacks on the back of your amp, usually on the back of the amp, and that way you can plug your guitar straight into the amp, and you can set the distortion on the amplifier to whatever you want it to be, the drive to whatever you want it to be, and then after the part of the amp that makes the distortion, it has a loop out. So you're in your amp, it gets distorted, and then after that distortion, then you can send it out to a delay pedal or a reverb pedal, and then bring it back into your amp and send it to your speakers. That way you'll get a nice clean sounding delay and reverb that's not distorted, but the sound going into it is a distorted sound. So that's a lot to wrap your head around when you're first playing. And whether you have an amplifier that has an effects loop or not is pretty tricky. But also, with a lot of like bias and a lot of computer simulated software stuff, you can place things where you want them. I know on this here, I can place this line 6 thing. I can place amplifiers before or pedals before or after the amp, and or rearrange them in different ways, and so you get different sounds that way. So that's the biggest problem people have with delays and reverbs is they know what they want. They want it to sound big. They want them to sound cool, but at some point there's a certain way to do it where it works to your advantage and not messing you up there. So that's some of the things I'm going to be talking about this week. Going back here just a little bit in the chat. Here we go. Let's see here. David says, I usually have a little bit of reverb on all the time and then delay for lead parts, solos, etc., both in the loop, which is in series. Yeah, because it sounds nice. And another thing too is if another way to think about it is, say you're at a place that is miking your guitar. You're being run through the PA system of the place that you're playing, and maybe someone else is running the sound, so the sound that you're sending the PA system is like the microphone and your amplifier. You see them, they put the microphone right on the amp. Well, what does that do? It takes, the closer you get to the microphone, the more it takes away the sound of the room. So you would, at that point, you would want to dial in a little bit of reverb from your amp, or have whoever's running the board put some on there for you, so it sounds natural. It doesn't sound harsh. So let's see. I usually have a little bit of reverb on all the time and delay for lead parts. Delay, even blues guitar will have delay on it. It'll be a lot lighter than like rock guitar. Rock guitar usually is heavy on the delay. It wants to sound big. It wants to sound like it's sustained. Blues guitar is maybe not that, and country's not all that. But country uses a lot of slap back, just that one little delay. But they all use delay to some point. Makes it sound really nice. And Joe just said that sounds nice, right? So those are the issues that we have with delay pedals. And if you start thinking about it less as a cool effect to put on there, and more about, well, why am I doing this in the first place? What's it going to do to my sound? Putting it in a space, making it sound like it's either closer to you or farther away. When I think of David Gilmour, I think of his recordings sounding just like they look when they play live. Pink Floyd, when they play live, is in a huge stage, and the players are spread out, really spread out, and it looks cavernous. Their stage show looks the way their recorded music sounds, which is huge. That's what they're going for. Okay, well, yeah, that's kind of what I'm gonna be talking about this week. Kind of worked it all out here with you guys. Thank you, I appreciate that. My wife came up and gave me a note that says Tube Screamer. She didn't know we were just talking about reverb and delay right now. That's her favorite effect, is the tube screamer. Always. Always. And forever. That's right. Yeah. So okay. So yesterday, on our live stream yesterday, I went back and looked at the chat. I didn't realize that I was being bullied into playing yesterday. I was being told I had to play. I saw one thing, and I thought, okay, yeah, I'll play. But no, it's something I'm gonna be doing. I need to get my my this set up. I need to get my pedal board in here. So I'm gonna be doing a little bit more playing on the live streams. Just I'm not set up for. I just have really my teaching tones right here. But I'll get the podcast out tomorrow. So over the week, this week, I'll bring my pedals in here and I'll get some background tracks, and we'll do some jamming. We'll do some playing on some of these. I don't know if I should do it in the beginning or just wait till later on. I'm not sure. But I got the point. I hear I hear you. We'll do some playing. I don't know. Maybe I'll go back. I don't know. I did in the beginning of the podcast. I was that kind of creating the band thing with those songs. There's a couple really cool chord progressions that I would come up with for those. So maybe I'll take some of those chord progressions and make some background tracks over them and start playing over those. I'll get a couple different things. I'd like to play some slide too. I haven't played slide in a long time. I like playing slide. So I'll play. Yeah, I'll play some stuff. Been putting you guys first, but I think it's time for me to start doing some playing too. So let's see here. Joe says, in my humble opinion, David Gilmour's sound is unbelievable along with his sweet solos. Yeah, it's really, really cool stuff. And David says, I've watched the Pulse DVD hundreds of times and still never get tired of it. Yeah, it's good stuff. Very good stuff. And you know what? What's really neat about David Gilmour is that even when he was using like that Steinberger guitar, and it doesn't matter what he's playing through. And if you ever, I know Evan talked about this too, that Gilmourish site where they talk about all the different gear that he's used over the years. And he's used tons of different gear, just tons of different stuff. And you don't really get it. It just sounds like him playing. You know, you figure that it's him into what is the high watt with his tube driver and the delay pedal, and it's not. He uses all sorts of different stuff. So yeah, really great player. Very happy to have been able to see him play a couple times. Joe says we're ready. Yeah, yeah. Next week I'll get it set up. So I can do some playing. I've been lucky just to get all this stuff going on. Okay, well, let's see here. 4:38. So I'm gonna hang out for a little bit. May end up. I've got a lot of stuff to get through today. A lot more coaching videos. I put up 3. I put up 5 videos. The videos that I got done last night are already posted. And everyone else's will be posted tonight whenever I get done, which will probably be pretty late. So I'll be unless we have some more stuff to talk about, I may cut out of here a little bit earlier than usual so I can get a few videos done before dinner time. Dean's got the treble clef in the guitar. Yeah. How you doing, Dean? Hope everything's going good for you today. Okay, well that's what I wanted to talk about. Wanted to hang out. I want to give you guys some news about what's going on with the Academy. Talk about a little bit about what the podcast is going to be this week. See if anybody had any questions about delay and reverb. That's really what I was hoping, but everybody seems to have a pretty good idea about it. Looking back here. Let's see. And Kevin says, talk about the difference between a delay and echo pedal. Some on a drum echo pedal is supposed to sound like a Benson. Let's look up Benson Echo Rec. Let's see what the difference is. I'm going to look that up. Echo Machine. Let's see here. Unlike most other analog echo machines, they use an analog magnetic drum recorder instead of a tape loop. Yeah, so the delay and echo. In fact, I had a problem with that too, because I had, let me see if I can find this. There's an Ibanez pedal, early echo machine. Let's see here. Yeah, it was a sound tank. It was an EM5 Ibanez echo machine. That was a delay pedal. And there it is. I see a picture of it right. Let me see if I can get you guys a picture of that. Not popping up right now. Okay, well, we'll just stay in the chat. I had an Ibanez echo machine that was a delay pedal. The whole thing started from tape machines, the reel-to-reel tape machines, and they noticed that there would be two different heads on there, and if you had both of them going at the same time, you'd have a single source, and then by the time it would come around on the tape to the next head, you would get a delay, and then you could adjust the distance between the two. That's where it all started. But yeah, so then the echo machine I had, and I thought, well, that, what makes this an echo machine? And I'm looking at the other analog echo machines that use an analog magnetic drum recorder instead of a tape loop for the Benson Echo Rec. Yeah, I don't think there's a big difference between them. I could be missing it. Let's see here. I've never thought of it as a big difference. So here I'm looking on Sweetwater, and they say a basic description of delay is that it captures the source signal and time shifts the delay. Okay, so there's two signals. One of them is the regular time, and the other one is an offset. So bop bop, right? It time shifts it by a preset or user configurable amount of time, and then plays it back one or more times. Echo effects are also time shifted repeats of a signal, so at that point they're exactly the same, but they are designed to sound like the echo found in nature. Okay. Doesn't sound like that big a difference. Many include ambience to increase the natural effect. Okay, so I guess to answer that question the way that this is being said is that they're delay pedals with a little bit of reverb in them. Okay, I think that's what it is. What they're getting at. Kevin, let's see here. Kevin says the pedal I was looking at is a Downer Prince, but it's an expensive one. I read that echo is like a subset of delay. So if you take a look at what Sweetwater's says, they say it's a delay pedal with a little bit of added reverb with it. So I would think that may be what the difference is. To me, it's so Dot 2227. Hi Dot, how you doing? Thanks for hanging out with us today. And David says my little Laney amp has a spring reverb, and I also have a spring reverb pedal which simulates it. I should do a video comparison to see how close they are. Yeah, there was a what was the spring reverb pedal? It was digital. I think it was Dane Electro, where it had a button on it where if you hit the button it sound, when that crash that you hear from amplifiers sometimes, right? Especially if you're on a stage that bounces a lot. A lot of like when they'll set up stages at like outdoor events, they're not very sturdy, and when the drummer's playing, the floor starts bouncing, and spring reverbs actually have very long, well, depends, some are about this long, but my amps, they have a very long, usually 3 springs. And when they boing around, you know, when they move, you get that crashing kind of sound. And there was a pedal that I used to play back at a guitar store I used to work at that had a button on it where you could hit it and it would crash the it would give you that terrible crashing sound. I guess. But Jimmy Herring, I know with he uses reverb, but he doesn't, and he uses Fender. Well, he did use a Fender amp. Now he's using Fuchs and a whole bunch of other different amps. But his amps, he doesn't use the reverb from his amps, even though he has them. He uses an outboard digital one. And the reason he does that is because playing on these stages that move, you know, you're playing along, everything's going good, and then you're slam, and the reverb crashes, and everybody, you know, looks around. So I, you know, I do that. I've done that many times too, where I always have a reverb pedal on my board, just in case that you're on a place where your amp could be moved around a little bit while you're playing. David says, in the car, the spring reverb goes nuts. Yeah, it's crazy. And some people, they'll put foam in there, right, to keep the springs from bouncing around, and then they get to the gig and forget to take the foam out, and they can't figure out why the reverb's not working. Dot says, any opinions on the Fender Player Hss Strat? Well, let's see. Not having played that particular one, but let's take a look at it. Playing a ton of other Strats. Fender Player Hss. All right, here's one. It's Sweetwater. Let's see here, which is $6.99, which used to mean that it was a made in Mexico Strat if it was that price point, but let's take a look. Let's see. The Fender Player Series Strat Hss takes the grand tradition into the future with a fast action 22 fret maple neck. Let's find out how it becomes fast action. Vibrant vintage inspired finishes and a versatile trio of humbucker and single coil Alnico pickups to cover wide swaths. Ooh, I want to be the guy to write this stuff. Wide swaths of contemporary and classical music. Let's see. Sleek, elegant lines with a perfect blend of vintage and modern features. You've got the comfort contoured alder body, finished in gloss polyester and crowned with 3-ply parchment pickguard. Add to it a trio of Player Series Alnico pickups and a fast satin-backed modern playing maple neck. Okay, so far it sounds like a Strat with a, let's see, it's alder, so that's kind of the preferred, the most common Strat wood. It's got a gloss polyester finish with a 3-ply parchment pickguard. That's all Stratocaster stuff. So the only thing different is the pickups and the neck. So the pickups are the Player Series Alnico pickups. We'll have to take a look at those, see what makes them different. And a fast satin-backed, which is always nice, not having a gloss-backed neck. So it's easier to play. When you sweat, your thumb doesn't get stuck on the back of the Strat neck when it's got a gloss finish on it. So satin-backed, modern playing, maple neck. So they've changed, you know, the what is it, 9.5 radius. So it's a modern C shape. So the modern C shape with a 9.5 radius is what the Mexican necks have been for quite a while. But they didn't have a satin smooth on it. So far it's satin, and it's got a humbucker, and let's see, the pickups taking a look at it now, let me see if I can get this working here. See if I can get this working. Yeah, add window capture. Yeah, let's add that. All right, so let's see here. Just one more minute and I will get it so we can all see what's going on here. Okay, let's see if this, I have to clean this up a little bit more. Okay, so what I'm noticing first is the bridge. It's got a 2-point tremolo, which is different than the vintage style bridge. Other than that, it looks like a Mexican Stratocaster. The neck has got satin, so that's nice. It's the same radius as the other Strats, and the bridge is different. And then we're going to learn about the pickups here. So, Player Series Strat Hss is equipped for a wide range of musical styles: modern, high gain, classic, surf, and country. Because you got the humbucker, so you got Alnico 5 single coils, which are pretty nice. And then a Alnico 2 humbucker, so a moderate gain humbucker. So it's not like a Duncan distortion, and it's not like a PAF. It's a mid gain push from your humbucker. So yeah, so you've got a lot of the Squires and the Mexican Strats would have a ceramic single coil pickups. This one has Alnico 5, which is nice. It's definitely an upgrade. And so the pickups are definitely an upgrade, and the satin neck will give a fast feel. And the bridge is a 2-point bridge, kind of like the one that I'm playing now. It's still got the vintage saddles, but it's a 2-point bridge. Quickly looking through all of this. Yeah, I think, it's a nice. Is it a Mexican Strat? I would assume it is from the price. They don't say specs. Let's see here. No, looks good. It's a good price, $699. For upgraded pickups and a smooth plain neck. I would say yeah. I'd say definitely if it's the guitar that you wanted to. Well, I would try those pickups out if I could. Well, right now I don't know if I would. I wouldn't really go in there to try them out now. David Sparrow says, I played one in a shop a couple of months back and it was nice, and he likes the HSS for versatility. Chris says, just in from a trip to my brother's house. Good to see you, Chris. Glad you're here. Dot says, I can't find one in Guitar Center to try out. Yeah. I would think they'd have them in there because I went right to it on Sweetwater's, but maybe they're having a hard time getting them in. Kevin says it is a Mexican Strat. So yeah, Mexican. My black guitar that I play, that I've got in the other room, my black it started off as a Mexican, and I added things to it. But you can get a great Mexican guitar. I would say yeah. I'd say go for it as long as those pickups are right for you. If you are planning on upgrading the pickups anyway, then I would play it first and make sure those pickups are the right ones for you. Because honestly, Stratocasters and humbucker pickups, it's very finicky. You got to make sure that humbucker is the right one that you want. It's really tough to find a good one. I know that for a fact because I have a whole drawer full of humbucker pickups trying to find the right one for it. So, but yeah, that looks like a good one to me. Sure does. Okay, let's head on back. What style of music do you play, Dot? Good to see you, Chris, man. Thanks. Hey, Chris, thanks for all the news articles this week. That was fun. I really appreciate that. I didn't get to the one that you sent. Hey, let me find it. I think you sent it on Messenger. Let's see if I could find. He had sent me another one which I didn't get to. Actually, there was a John Mayer I didn't get to as well. Well, let's see here. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see. Here we go. Here we go. This was for Dave. And for Joe, let's take a look here. Amplitube Joe Satriani is an authentic software rendition of the guitar virtuoso's rig. Satch VM. Okay, let me see if you can see it. Well, here, let's. There we go. So IK Multimedia's launched Amplitube collection of amps and pedals, not only accurately based on, but built with the input of Joe Satriani himself. Software is designed to run on both desktop and iOS versions of Amplitube, or as a standalone desktop app. The brand's also currently giving away $100 worth of Amplitube software. It features 5 Stompbox models and 3 amp and cabinet simulations that cover different periods from his career. So let's take a look at this. Let's say what it is. There are 3 distortion built in. The Satch distortion is modeled after an early 80s Boss DS1. The overdrive is based on a Boss OD1, and the tube overdrive is a mid-80s Chandler tube driver. So that's pretty neat. You don't hear about him using the tube driver a whole lot. And so with his input, he put that one in there. And the OD1, I think I've heard something about not much about that though. Adding to this, Satch was based on a Vox BBW wall, and Satch Octave is from his Ultimate Octave, which is like a full tone pedal. And the amps, he's using his signature Marshall head, the PV5150, and a Rockman, a Schultz Rockman. I had one of those. I actually played live with a Schultz Rockman years when I first started playing. And song-specific presets that are based on material from the guitarist's wide repertoire. So desktop is $99, while the iOS is in-app within Amplitube CS for $24.99. How about that? Pretty neat. There you go, David. How about that stuff? And Joe, check that out, man. Pretty neat. That'd be fun to have. All right. Okay, guys, it's top of the hour. Guys and girls, it's top of the hour. Oh, let's see here. I want to go back. Dot's playing blues, but I'm trying to get into some other styles. Well, okay, well that's good. Make sure you have a humbucker in there for playing in other styles. Humbucker in blues works too. You know, a regular Strat I use for blues and actually other styles too. I use a drop-in replacement in a regular Strat style, and this is a Fralin, and it's a ceramic pickup that sounds almost like a P90 pickup. It's a really beefed up. It handles distortion better than a regular Strat pickup does. So there are some things, and there's actually, if you were to get just a regular Strat, you could get, there's some those rails, and then the Duncan little JBs and there's things that you can do too, but honestly they don't sound exactly like a humbucker. If you're really needing a humbucker, that would be a a good way to go. I did the John Mayer one. Okay, great. I didn't miss it. I was afraid I did. Joe says yes. Guitar Center where I live is empty. Only stuff on the wall is Les Paul and Mitchell guitars. I know it's because of the pandemic, so I'll wait. Yeah, I would too. I would too. Chris is always looking out for this for my Satch brothers, right? Cool. Yeah, take a look at that. That's pretty neat. I might take a look at it too. That'd be fun. I'm curious to hear how it goes. Okay, everybody. It was great hanging out with you today. I'm gonna call it, and I will see you tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. And we're gonna be doing the podcast live, and it's gonna be about delay and reverb. And I'm gonna take a look at what we talked about today and expand on that a little bit, and try and get some helpful things for people who to get their tones together. And actually, I didn't talk about using it with your clean, your crunch, and your lead sounds as well. So everybody have a great rest of your Sunday, or for those who are on the other side of the world, Monday. But have a great one, and I'll see everybody tomorrow at 4. Thanks, Dot. Thanks, Kevin and Joe, Chris, and David, both Davids, and Gloria, and Evan, and let's see here, Kevin, Dean, and Josh. Glad everybody's doing well and healthy. Let's keep it that way. Okay, I'll see everybody tomorrow. Bye-bye.